Well, hey Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For today's video, we're going to be looking at a collectible. Now, it's something I never thought I would get into, but I have been, and then it even started triggering memories that I forgot I had that kind of almost connects my love for mechs and robots. But yeah, we'll get into that. And before we do, if you haven't, please subscribe. And if you think it's a cool video, give it a like. Check the links in the description for ways you could support the channel. You can actually get access to like exclusive podcasts, behind the scenes, etc. And then also there's a link for our Discord. We have a lot of fun there. But yeah, let's dive in. Now, the first way it started, and I can't be sure if it was our resident Goose that got it for me, but I want to think it was just this little Zaku here. And I built it with my son, thought it would be cool. And, you know, it is kind of cool. It just, you know, it wasn't really my thing. And then I noticed at Target, I would start seeing, these boxes. And I was like, okay, let me check one of these out. Because on the surface, it doesn't look super SD. I mean, it still seems to have some good scaling and proportion to it. And it has articulation and you build it. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of my thing, isn't it? So I got a unicorn. But you know what? After that, I kind of dropped it, forgot about it, didn't bother with them. But then Bandai Namco Entertainment America actually sent me a few, and they were actually really cool. One in particular is a special edition kind. It's like translucent black, Gira Zulu, but it has so many parts to it that you put on that I was like, wow, this is amazing. This reminds me again of like older action figures or things I like from action figures where it has all little parts that you can add on to it and weapons and stuff like that. You know, another one they sent me was this mass production new. Again, very awesome, surprised at the articulation, the way it looks, fun to build. And then I started thinking, you know what, maybe I like these. So I thought, hey, I'll go head over to Target then and grab some more. But they were out. Target didn't have any anymore, my local Target. And I'm like, well, next time I'm in the area of another Target that's nearby, I'll check if they have them. Went there were no more. Digging around, there was nothing. And then I found a box. I actually found an open box of one. And it was an RX-78-2 that was built. I went to go see if I could buy it, and it was just $2. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Is the universe telling me I should collect these? Anyway, I'm putting it together, and I'm like, man, why do I like these so much? And then a memory popped into my mind. If you haven't, there's the latest exclusive podcast for supporters. Ian and I, our mod Ian, we're just kind of talking about things from the past, and I brought this up, but I'll show it here. To be honest, I did remember this a while back. When I got into Gundam, I just kind of forgot. And then it came back to me playing with these Mobile Suit Ensemble figures. And this is what I believe 99%, this is what's in my memory. And this is what I loved. There was something about this. I got it in a Walmart back. It could have been later 80s, early 90s. This is 1986. Apparently, some of the ones that got released in the US were really like knockoff versions. But I just remember everything about it. I remember it being like a kind of a chubby robot, but not too much. It still had articulation. There was a building component to it. The other thing too I remembered was all the holes in it where you can like plug things in. Very similar to what we have with these Mobile Suit Ensemble, but pretty cool that this was Macross. At a time where I didn't even know what that was and went for a while still not really knowing what it was. But it's very cool that this memory just kind of came back to me and it kind of connects with the things I'm into today. I find that fascinating. Yeah, just another quick look at it. Here's next to a quarter so you can kind of see the size of it. But again, these are from a gumball machine and then you would have to build them and then you would have a robot and I loved it. So then anyway, as I would look online and say, no, I'd like to get some more of these because they're not super expensive. I am trying to find a way where I can continue having fun, you know, getting my hands on some hobby stuff related to Gundam. But it's just, I have so many model kits. I have so many of the robot spirits. I kind of want to back off buying way too many more and really just focus on the kits I have. But what's something fun I can do in the meantime? So anyway, Big Bad Toy Store just happened to have the full cloth crossbone on sale, and I picked it up, and to be honest, way more happened when I got this than what I realized. I realized these things are really just tiny model kits, because not only do they have a joint system for really good articulation, but there's areas where you need to paint to panel line. I put a lot of time and effort into this crossbone full cloth that I would put in a high grade. And it's a lot of fun, and they don't take up a lot of space. Being more sold on this, I went ahead and started importing more from online. I'll have some links in the description of where you can get some if you want to. One interesting thing is that there's not instructions for how to build them, just kind of the basics of how to put together the articulation system. But some of these are very unique from each other, and you'll have to actually look online. Bandai Namco does have, or I think it's a Gundam Info, on the Gundam Info channel, they do have resources where you can watch someone put it together. But there's so many of these, and they're all very distinct and unique. For instance, I showed that Zaku I got earlier. Here is another one, but this has some real tight markings. Not a whole lot, but just enough to where it's just awesome seeing something like this. I mean, and then look at it again. It's sort of SD, but it's not too SD. And it's very reminiscent, again, of that kind of old school Gashapon that I got. So it's like this has always been part of my life. And when you get them out of the package, they do come in runners. So there are these runners here, and this is like for the joint system. You kind of put this together to put together the joints, the articulation, some of the framing of it. But then other pieces like, you know, here's a waist, for instance. I think this is a Jagan I'm starting to build. It's got its waist. Here is the helmet. It looks really cool. And what's really cool is when you take off the visor, you can see that it already has some silver painted in the back. That really just gives it that extra detail, because for being as small as they are, they do have a premium look and feel to them. So here you go. And I don't know how close I can really get this to the camera so you can kind of like see, but it just looks excellent. And obviously you can see areas where you can add paint, panel lining. It's also fun too if you like to paint miniatures. For instance, on the crossbone, there's a lot of areas like the upper portion of like kind of the fake cape it has. That was all one solid color. I had to paint white there. There's a lot of areas that I had to put yellow. That crossbow gun that it has was actually all one color. I think it was all white, and then I went through and painted it as accurately as possible. And then a favorite of mine, the Hazel Custom. So that's one that's available. There's actually a lot of Advance of Zeta, and they come with add-on parts. So here's an example of like a box where it has like what's in that line, and then there's 4 different figures plus a pack that just has accessories. And this is what you can use to, like, for Advance of Zeta, for instance, to make the different variants of the Zeta, Advance of Zeta suits. Speaking of Zeta, here's a badass Zeta I got that has some real tight markings on it. You know, again, I get it. This doesn't have the proportions of a typical mobile suit, something I would like, but it's not too SD, and it has the full articulation, the accessories, that it's just, and the size. Like, I can grab a handful of these, put them in a bag, store it somewhere. Very easy to just get out if I want to kind of mess around with them. My son was also helping me to kind of build them. And here's the thing, they are difficult, especially if you're not used to them, and if you get one that's unique, that does its own thing. It might take some time to really understand how to put it together. Well, anyway, that was just a short little video to kind of just talk about Mobile Suit Ensemble. Again, I wasn't paid for any of this. I mean, I think Bandai Namco Entertainment America, though, sending me the few that they did kind of really piqued my interest, made me get back into this and trigger that memory again, and to actually then find what it was that I had when I was a kid that maybe started me down the path of robots, and kind of opened my mind to the idea of then building robot model kits like 30 years later, more than that. I mean, that's kind of crazy to think. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Again, historically, SD, not my thing. This is almost there, but just enough where it is a lot of fun to build, customize. I would love to have a whole army of GMs with my RX-78 too. If you have any questions about them, let me know. I guess they are kind of hard to come by because they really only came out with that one set in the US that you could find at Target. I think GameStop might have had a few. I think the Converge is really what you might see out there. Converge, though, just doesn't have the same articulation. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk later.